Hey there, this is episode 3 of the Sexcapade Chronicles. We are so excited because you guys have given us so much positive feedback and so many ideas, so cheers.
Cheers.
As you can see, we are looking for alcohol sponsors. We're very open to energy drinks and to alcohol sponsors at this point because we think it'll be a lot of fun to be able to, drink during our podcast. And we're going to play a game later, actually, that involves drinking. And never have I ever, you have to look forward to.
I've never played it. It'll be fun, or not, I don't know.
Or not. It'll be great. Anyhow, if you're wondering how I got a black eye, it was because last night I decided to do the dirty dancing yoga move of, I've had the time of my life, the lift into my hardwood floors, because perhaps drinking cocktails and then trying to do acro yoga isn't the best pairing.
Only person who get a black eye from doing yoga.
Well, I didn't brace myself with my arms either because, I fell down the steps a month ago, so I just went flat on my face with all my weight. So, we're really going to see, how this all turns out. Nonetheless, it's just another drinking story gone wrong.
Right? It's another fun story.
It was my friend's birthday and my friend was visiting from SoCal, I still went out, don't worry. That was the beginning. I had to numb the pain then. So, mind over matter always.
Right. Absolutely.
So, as we got lots of questions and such, people wanted to know the craziest place I had sex.
Yes, you left yours out.
Okay, so let's get into that real quick. The craziest place I've had sex would be the road to highway, or the Highway 50 to Tahoe on the side of the road. When it starts to be the one-lane highway, yeah, pulled over there.
You gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Apparently I thought this was a great idea because it was totally mine. So, as are all of these ideas that go very wrong as my face crashes into the wood floor. These sorts of things. I don't know how I haven't been arrested some days, I wonder. Do you ever wonder?
No. I try to behave myself now.
I don't have children.
Yeah, I have to.
So, we asked you guys, what are some relationship deal breakers? So, what do you classify as a relationship deal breaker?
Obviously cheating. Lying.
Okay, I want to go back to these things because you are married and put up with it, so these are not deal breakers.
Okay.
So, because I did too, so these are my deal breakers as well. I'm only saying this because they are deal breakers and until they're not.
Right. They are now because after living with it for 8 years, I'm not going to do it again.
Yeah.
So any sort of cheating, online, physical, talking to someone behind my back, it's all considered cheating. Okay,
so any sort of emotional, coworker, a work wife, any of that. Well, I mean, because those are expressions people use. Yes.
Work life won't go over well.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So the platonic work relationship that gone wrong. Okay. Right. So a lot of you guys said you had different ideas and such about that. So people talked about lying. Mm-hmm. That has always been my biggest one.
Right.
But given our last podcast, obviously we put up with a lot, even though those are deal breakers.
Right. I mean, it's a slippery slope. It's lying about where you went for lunch or lying about what you're doing at lunch, who you're doing at lunch. It's little lies can turn into big lies. So
before this podcast, we were talking about the things you do and don't want to know about your significant other. So what, are white lies okay if it's going to spare another person's feelings? What do you think?
So my husband's right there. So
I'll be coming up later, don't worry.
Oops, I don't want to know too much, honestly. I figure it's the past. It doesn't matter. I don't ask specific.
Hey you guys, we had some technical difficulties there, so we're back again. So we're going to stitch this together, but...
It might not look the greatest, but...
We're new to this. This technology thing, not really our thing.
No, not my thing at all.
Not our generational thing. So we were talking about deal breakers. So do you want to talk about some of the deal breakers we came across from people that wrote in?
Alright, so... A good one is baby mama drama. I think that's a good one because you don't want to add extra crazy into your life.
I agree. I mean, dating people that have children and such, that's really hard. Mm-hmm. And I think that having that component adds an extra layer of stress constantly. Because you don't know what you're getting beyond your relationship on any given day because you haven't met the person.
Right.
So you don't know what kind of crazy you're dealing with.
Right. You might get lucky and it might work out, but if there's drama and she's crazy, then that's definitely a no-go, I think.
Well, do you have baby mama drama?
No.
Well, you always luck out.
I mean, I like his ex-wife.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean,
yeah,
like,
there's no drama.
Okay.
Let's see. So, lying is a big one. That one comes up a lot. No one wants to be with a liar.
Yeah, but everyone like says that, but like everyone lies. So it's like very ironic to me. It's like one of those things of like people that say that like don't want it, and yet they're the ones that always perpetuate the lies. I feel like because no one wants to be lied to. Let's be realistic.
Right.
And yet everyone lies.
Everyone lies, right?
To themselves or to others.
Right.
Like one or the other.
Dishonesty. Someone has a long list. So sports and music seems to be you either, if they're a sports fan, they want to be with a sports fan. If they like music and art, they want to be with someone with the same interests.
Okay, so they want to have like common relationship goals, I guess, so they can have similar interests,
right.
which is what I tell my clients to do. But I didn't know that was like, you know, those are non-negotiables. I don't call them deal breakers.
Right. I mean, I guess if one person like loves football and the other person hates it, that's not going to work.
I know, but like maybe that's like what you do on your own. So like when you talk about like non-negotiables, do they have to love it? Like, or can you go do that with your friends and have your own life? Like,
true. That's a good point.
You know, like, that's what I always talk about with clients, at least.
Right. Smoking or substance abuse. Smoking. I was married to a smoker too. They were both smokers. I wouldn't want to be around it again.
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of smoking at all. You know, the substance abuse, since we both, like, you know, have been products of fathers that are alcoholics, and, like, you know, have a long line of substance abuse, I think that there's a line. I mean, like, obviously I joke about drinking a lot, but, like, my drinking compared to most people's is, like, actually moderate. Like, I don't drink like I used to. I didn't drink till I was 23, actually, so I know it's really hard to believe. I know.
But I started drinking in my teen years. But then I also became a mother at 24. And I don't drink very often.
Yeah.
When I do, I enjoy it. Because I don't drink very often.
I know, like, to get her over here tonight and be like, cocktails, Uber, like, let's go, like, have fun, like, enjoy ourselves.
It's a Friday, and I'm...
We're not supposed to say what day of the week it is, because we're not posting it. It's not Friday at all. This didn't happen last night on a Thursday night.
It's a weekday at some point.
But, like, I think that, you know, like, the substance abuse thing is, like, kind of, it depends on where you're at in life and, like, where you're at, like, in divorce or relationships. Are you looking for someone significantly? Because I think if you're just looking for the party lifestyle, it doesn't really matter.
Right, absolutely.
Because, like, people are much more willing to meet either. But if it's, like, an everyday to get through life thing, it becomes an issue.
Right,
and there's a fine line.
Right, and if you're sneaking it, that's a problem. If you're
dishonest about it,
it goes back to the lying.
I mean, like, my father used to drink in the AA parking lot before going to meetings, and my mom would find bottles in the car. So, I mean, there's kind of, like, that line of, like, you're going to the meetings, but you're drinking. Like, I mean, like, why?
So, my ex-husband, when I finally left, I found a mound of beer cans in the backyard that he had covered up with a tarp. The backyard,
or it was logs?
the side yard, and the garage. I didn't really pay much attention to. He was growing pot. He was growing pot in the garage, and there was a pile of empty beer cans on the side yard. It was like under a tarp or something. I never paid attention to it. So.
I think these are things we overlook, though, because, like, you know, like, having been with someone that had substance abuse issues and I've never been around drugs and such, like, I know it's hard to believe I've never been smoked weed, okay? But, like, but then, like, being with a full-on addict, I didn't even know what to look for as a person, and so you get pulled into this, and, like, you don't know what it looks like if you've never been around that to see someone abuse substances, so I think that, you know, I know the people that wrote in and such and, like, have gone through that and, like, have left their marriages and such because of substance abuse problems. How do you draw that line as someone that's been married more than, you know, myself, what they're willing to tolerate and put up with, like, if the person you're with has substance abuse problems, are they willing to go to rehab, or will they be honest about it?
See, if they're honest about it, I think that matters. If they're willing to get help, that matters. If it's, I don't have a problem, and then they're sneaking out at night, they're doing shady shit, that's where you draw the line.
I mean, what if you put in the rehab 3 times and they still are doing drugs and cheating on you with people from rehab? Is that not a line that's the end?
That's where you cross the line.
Okay, because, like, you know, that might have happened. I don't know.
We don't talk about personal, real life stuff at all now.
But I think, like, when I talk about it with my clients and such, it's like the non-negotiables, and I think that that's really a hard line because you don't know what you're getting. People always... Like, I always say believe people when they show you who they are the first couple dates, because that's the best it's ever going to be. It only goes down from there. People don't put on the best face. So if you can't keep it together or you're like a train wreck, it's never going to get better. Now I need to clarify the train wreck comments that I make about myself. Everyone has compared me to Amy Schumer in Trainwreck, and so I've adopted that philosophy of calling myself that. Am I a Trainwreck human being? No. I have my life together. I'm no longer behaving that way. However, the comparisons from many years ago I think are funny. So when I say I'm a Trainwreck, I am not. I just really need to clarify this because a lot of people have like been told me, Jen, you're not a Trainwreck anymore. It's okay. Anymore. I may like still like, you know, identify with such behaviors, but I do not behave that way.
I do too. I identify. I mean, I started really young though. I mean, the drinking and the drugs and all that started 16-ish.
Yeah, and then the hooking up and like everything else like that goes along with being a train wreck, because it has to do with self-worth, to be honest.
Right.
And like that's kind of the part that people don't understand is you're a train wreck because you don't feel good about yourself. You don't do anything to feel better. And so the amount of self-destruction that's going on to be that train wreck is kind of one of those things that people don't see.
Right. Right. There's a reason I was at 16 getting so shit-faced that I didn't remember anything. And hooking up, I was 15. My boyfriend was 23. Like, there's a problem there. And he got me hooked on drugs at a young age.
Yeah, that's a power thing, manipulation, like using like substances to be able to influence someone. Like that's like when there's that power dynamic and you don't realize when you're a kid, you're like, oh, a 23-year-old likes me.
I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, right? But like not that this motherfucker's like 23 and they trusted a 15-year-old, like how it sounds.
To hear it now, it sounds so sick.
Right?
Right, because I'm also older, but at 15, I thought it was the coolest thing. This older guy liked me, and
that's the thing is, like, when you're going through it, you can't see objectively, because it's in your own clusterfuck of disaster, or whatever the trauma is you're living through, and you'll do whatever it takes kind of to get out of it. Right. And I know you left home at a very young age, and I left as soon as I graduated high school. So
you went to high school?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I went to
What was that like?
Worst 4 years of my life. St. Francis. All girls school. Nonetheless, I'm sorry. I know you didn't go to high school, but it's probably for the best that you didn't have to go deal with women all day long, because we get along because we say it like it is, and are not emotional about it.
No, instead, I dropped out of high school as a freshman. I went for like I kind of went-ish for 3 months and dropped out. Took my GED, went to a community college where I was surrounded by a bunch of older men.
And so they preyed upon you.
That's not going to go well.
Yeah, they preyed upon you. Because like it was like not the like, you know, like the baby, like the weakest link kind of thing, but like the one that's most impressionable.
Right, at 16 I was like, oh, older guys in college.
Exactly. Well, the fact you were in college at 16 though, like says a lot about you. So people like don't realize like when you drop out, like you went and did all this stuff with your life.
Right. No, I dropped out. I mean, I hated high school. I hated the people. I just hated it. But I went to the junior college and I took like sociology and biology and all these classes, criminal investigation classes I liked, and I had like 3.5 grade point average. So I wasn't stupid. I couldn't handle high school. Yeah, I think it's like, because like, I think we've always been very mature for our age, and we don't actually act like, you know, what people would think we act like. I mean, we have fun and such, but we actually adult really well, and we push ourselves like to the point of getting sick, stress, and everything else. Like, we work more than like most people realize. To schedule this podcast took several days because of the week in our like work schedules and such. Like, it's really hard to find the time. I mean, your husband's here tonight with us because, like, you know, this is a date night. Be with us, you know, like, cheers. You know, over here. But, you know, like, I had my, you know, clothing designer come by with her husband earlier as well, and, like, everyone comes through the household with Jen Bryan, like, because everyone, like, knows that there's cocktails, first of all, and second of all, probably home, and third of all, it'll be at the time. But, you know, like, being so busy and working from home is one of those things that people don't realize how many hours you have to work to be self-employed. No, I'm on the phone, I'm, you know, texting while we're trying to watch TV, I'm texting clients and, you know, trying to get information and doing all that while, you know, until 10 o'clock at night until I finally am done. So I think that, like, when people, like, think about, like, when you got your GED and, like, weren't in high school, like, that would mean that you're not motivated in life, but it's the complete opposite. Like, you were accelerating your education and everything else, and I was stuck in, like, you know, 4-year all-girls school. But I graduated college in 3 years. I graduated college at 20, and I went to 3 colleges at onone, and, like, had 3 jobs and was supporting myself. And those are the things that people don't understand to be the type A motherfuckers that we are. Because, like, it's kind of one of those things, like, you have to be able to always be on the grind and always willing to push yourself. But that's also why we get so tired, we get sick, and because we don't stop. Exactly. And so, like, that would be a deal breaker for a lot of people. You know, they're dating us. Work. Because, like, we put work above most things. And that's been an issue for me in life, because I will sacrifice my relationships any day of the week, because those people are expendable, in my mind.
only from the standpoint of you knew what you're getting into.
Right.
Like, you knew who you were dating. So if you don't support that, then, like, you can go.
Right.
Because, like, regardless, I have to pay my bills.
Right.
You're not paying them for me. So I think that's a really big deal breaker when you're dating someone, is like financial security and being able to rely upon yourself.
Right.
When shit gets hard.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have a skill set.
Right.
You know?
Not willing to support someone else, too.
Yeah, right?
That's a deal breaker.
Yeah. So let's talk about fairy tale relationships.
Okay.
Do you think those exist? As I'm getting text messages as we speak.
Anything good?
Oh, you know. Not anything that we want to discuss on air. I mean, the idea, like, so I'm going to talk about this, like, from the standpoint of, like, objectively, like, having it thrown in my face the other day that I had a fairy tale life was very exciting to me. Whether the person meant that way or not, to me it's very distressing because you know the amount of trauma and everything I lived through. And so this idea of having a fairy tale, because I grew up in an upper class world, no matter what was going on behind the scenes, is upsetting. And it's basically saying that all my pain and suffering is covered by money, which is, you know, not reality.
Right.
My life is not a fucking fairy tale. Nor is yours. There's no one coming to save us.
No. Nor would we don't want someone to save us anyway.
That's true. We'll do it ourselves. But like the idea, like that people are always like waiting for this person to come complete them or do this or that. Because like I see Facebook and social media all the time, just like you do, and people have this notion that people are going to be there to fix them instead of having to make themselves better.
Right.
Do you think that like there's something to that whole idea?
I think a lot of people are looking for the person to complete them, or to fix them, or to take care of them. And if you can't do it yourself, no one is going to fill that void.
And we talked about in the last podcast about like being financially dependent on somebody.
Right.
And I think that goes back to that idea of like that fairy tale, like being able to depend on someone.
But that's a horrible idea. If you're depending on someone for the income, what happens if they find someone else? What happens if they're like, you suck, I'm going to go hook up with a 20-year-old down the street?
I mean, that's happened to some of my friends though. Like friends I met in treatment, like they got left for like a 20-year-old dishwasher, and like they were business owners of the company. Like, what happens when that is your reality? You thought you had this great relationship, and then like just like me, like I thought I was living this fairy tale life, and then like lo and behold, it's not that fucking fairy tale. Like
I was faking a fairy tale.
Well, I was faking it too because I couldn't say it wasn't, you know, and like that was my mistake, is like believing I got my happily ever after. And having to say it in that fucking clusterfuck. Because, like, I said that publicly.
Right, once you say it's perfect, you have to live the life of, it's perfect.
Yeah, so I guess, like, the whole idea of, like, someone saying my life's a fairy tale, this is not a fairy tale. It's, like, a tragedy gone wrong. Nonetheless, being resilient and being able to try to, like, find a way to put the dysfunction to good use.
Right.
But, like, I think that people will have this notion always that, like, there's going to be this person that's going to come in and make it all better.
Right, and that's never going to happen.
I feel like my friends come in to make it better, like maybe like you or Cam or people like that contribute to the value of my life, make my life better, but like a person to date or marry or any of that will never be what will give my soul purpose. Do you feel like that?
Right, because it's the saving, it's the, as much as I love my husband, he doesn't complete me. I am me, I will do what I do with or without him.
Yeah.
He makes my life better.
It enhances it. He enhances you as a person, though.
He does. He. I think he helps make me a better person.
Yeah, and you know, like I'm no longer dating that person, so you know the Tahoe tragedy of the week. You know, I asked him before this podcast how he would like me to reference this story, but he didn't get a real answer until during this text message. So you know, like when someone else tells you that they're not a train wreck and you have concerns, and then a month later they play out exactly that way. You get upset because it's like, I can't take on someone else's baggage as a person anymore. I can't be Captain Save the Ho. I've done that. It did not work out well.
No, it doesn't work out.
And like knowing that and like seeing it objectively and like having those concerns and having those concerns come back to bite me in the ass is one of those things of like, see, I told you so. But to myself, it's like I left that situation. I didn't stay in it. I know better now than to settle and be in that shitty place to take care of another person when it will destroy me. The stress and everything else, like it has nothing to do with the person's character, just like where you're at in life. Right.
It could be two people that are great people, but together they don't work.
or they're not on the same page at the same time, like timing's off, because like people always talk about timing's everything. Like I've had to work really hard, like for the last 4.5 years of being single, and like the last 2.5 especially, like the train wreck that was, like okay, that's not anymore, but like I've had to work really hard to get my life back on track and do all these things. I'm not going to just put up with someone else's shit.
Right.
Because I feel like I need someone, because no one was there. So, therefore, I made it all by myself.
Right.
Therefore, I am not going to entertain that idea of, like, settling, I guess.
Right.
Do you feel like that people, I mean, like, you've been married a few times. I've been engaged. Like, you know, married too. I mean, like, do you feel like that's, like, settling in a way, though? Like, a lot of people, like, make those compromises?
I absolutely did. The first one, not so much. We were just young. The second one, I knew better. But I didn't want to have to admit and accept. I picked the wrong fucking person.
And see, that's exactly...
So I played along and, oh, we're so happy, everything's so perfect, when I didn't know where he was half the time, and finding girls' phone numbers, and, you know, the hidden alcohol, and the pot in the garage, and all the fun stuff I ignored.
Yeah, I think you overlook it and turn a blind eye to it, because, like, that's how you survive. But
Right,
like,
it's survival mode.
But then, like, the next, like, relationship after, you're like, fuck no. Like, let's be real clear. I'm not doing that again. I survived that. I'm not going to go through this again. Because I barely escaped the last relationship is how I feel. I'm sure that's how you feel as well.
Right.
Like, I barely got out alive. Like, I won't do it. I'd rather be alone.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's like a place of strength, I guess, like in the recovery process, when you come out of an abusive relationship of like being like, fuck no. Like when you see those signs or whatever it's going to be, like that putting yourself back together means you have to be whole all by yourself versus looking for another person to complete you.
Right. Well, I mean, so me and my husband, we were friends in the same group years ago. He was married, I was married. Those ended. When we met each other again 4 years later, he had been divorced for a while. I was only 3 months out of my marriage. I'm pretty sure I was a little crazy.
like more crazy than me, like certifiable, like. I mean,
you know what? I was so insecure. I was not ready for a relationship.
And that sounds very familiar to me from like many, like, because it was a few months, like literally, like, the person I was dating just got out of marriage, like it's very similar. Like
yeah, I mean 3 months.
Yeah,
I wasn't emotionally ready, but I probably showed my crazy shit a little, but. Well, it worked out.
It does work out because, like, he loves you for who you are as a person, and he knew your character, and he knew what you've been through.
Right.
So I think, like, you know, this person's known me through all the bad stuff, so perhaps I feel like an asshole right now because I did not hang in there like they did for my crazy things. But nonetheless, I was unwilling to put myself through the emotional drama, not knowing what the outcome would be. Because I think that there comes a point where, like, self-preservation kicks in.
Right.
Especially with all the trauma and everything else. Like, if you can't carry your weight, I can't carry it for you anymore.
Right.
Because I've always done that, and I'm like, oh no, I'm in a new place.
Right. If tables were turned, I don't know that I would have put up with so much.
Exactly, and like, I think that that's kind of one of those things of like, as we get older, we're less inclined to put up with things.
Yeah.
Because we know better.
We've lived through more.
Yeah, and more experiences, more ability to self-reflect. And I know you and I both self-reflect a lot. And about our choices and such. I mean, I self-reflected about this a lot today. My face
It's a yoga injury. Just leave it at that.
I mean, I really thought I started dancing, like, you know, gone wrong. But, like, that's fine.
But the pictures are awesome.
I know. Like, there are pictures if you want to go to my Facebook.
Action, right.
Then going down. But, like, Dirty Dancing was my favorite movie as a child. And, like, you know, being very close to my grandmother and stuff. Like, and her covering my eyes as a kid, like, before. My grandma died when I was 9, so I saw this movie very young. But, like, you know, like, I made my dad play Hungry Eyes like repeat because I love Dirty Dancing. It was my favorite movie as a child. And so like literally last night is like crash and burn. This is why we don't do yoga. Dr. Alsher, this is why we don't do yoga and I run. Because he wants me to meditate and do yoga. This is why we don't. Nonetheless, it's one of those things of like, this is the yoga experience. So like, the time of my life, like as I said today, I started Dancing posted on Facebook today that video and like the lift that I was trying to do. I felt like that was really, you know, perfect timing. So anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We love your questions, feedback, ideas, thoughts.
Ideas and comments, and I love that people are paying attention and letting us know what they think.
And you know what? Like, it's awesome how many people have viewed it. Like, we're super excited. So continue on this journey with us. Alcohol sponsors, hit us up.
Absolutely.